Here is a little sneak peek coming up of some beautiful photography pictures of Sorcha wearing my fairy crown, with pictures taken by the very talented Daniella Jaine. I will pop her link in the description below. Make sure to check out her Instagram. She takes lots of beautiful fairy inspired pictures. So it's been a busy few days here under the ivy, lots of different things going on, but I wanted to show you my mystery craft boxes that I've been putting together. So I thought I will show you a little unveiling video, or should I say unboxing video. Please excuse the cockerel crowing there in the background. This is just a little glimpse of some of the things that might be in your box. So we have some nice trims, ribbons, laces for you to use there to help you get creative. They can be used for a number of different things. In each box there will be some fabric, some vintage fabrics with laces, some vintage papers with music scripts, vintage notes, all depending on what I have at the time. There will also be a vintage key for you to use, a little glass jar of beads and sequins there, nice to decorate. So there are different papers, tracing papers, some tulle with some gold stars on. There is a little hand printed fairy key there, which I screen printed myself. It's my own design there, and it's been foiled. There's also some nice tags. Didn't want to show everything that was in the box because I would still like it to be a mystery craft box for you guys, so I didn't show everything that's in the box, but you can see some little snippets of some little bundles of fabric and also some trinkets and some other bits and pieces there for you to use. You can see here the little mushroom print, which is my own photography and print that I've printed for you to have in your box. I think it adds a nice magical touch to the boxes. Also comes with my own stickers that I have designed, illustrated and printed and done on the cry cut machine to cut them out so you can use them as a sticker sheet. With it being coming up to spring, I thought it would be nice to have the little garden birds with some flowers and butterflies. I will also be including some of my fairy wings. So I hope you enjoyed seeing a little peek inside the mystery boxes. Now we are going off to feed some of the animals before I nip out to Hobbycraft. Bonnie absolutely loves feeding the pigs and chickens and she always gets so excited. Morning. So I just needed a few bits and pieces from Hobbycraft, so I thought I'd take you along with me. I always go out and check out and see what moss they have in stock, and I already have all of these. And also I can't resist going to look at all the pens and pencils and paints. Who doesn't like some organised colour system there? I absolutely love these pencils. They're so good to draw and colour with. So we are finally nearly home and I am ready to start recording the tutorial of the fairy potion bottle that I created. I don't know if you've seen it in my Instagram, but I thought I would show you guys how I made it and maybe you can have a go of making one yourself. I would love to see what you create, whether you do one like mine or make your own. It's always nice to see what other people are creating, and I hope you feel inspired by this fairy bottle. To create the fairy bottle, I used an old vintage key and a mould to get the decorational piece at the top. This was a mould for fondant icing, I think for cake making. You can buy any sort of Baroque Rococo style mould to make yours look a little bit antiqued if you so desire. So I did two sides and then moulded them together over the top of the key and used some hand sanitizer to smooth it all down, and then I placed an opal crystal or gem and I smoothed that into the Flymo clay and just push the clay around to help secure it on the inside. I would suggest using some Flymo glue just so that when it cooks it helps keep the opal in place. I couldn't find mine, so I wasn't able to do that. And I would also highly recommend, if you do use a vintage key or an old key, to saw off the bottom so that it goes into the jar before you put any clay on, because it's quite difficult to get the piece off, and I did have a bit of a struggle trying not to crack the clay while I was trying to saw off the end of the key. I used a heat gun to help dry the clay just so it wasn't so delicate, so that when I placed it in the oven it didn't get any bumps and delves, because I wanted to keep the nice Rococo style decorative pieces not to get squished in the oven. And I really wanted to use my new powders that I bought from Arteza, I think it's called. This isn't a sponsored video, this is just me wanting to use some of the powders, and as you can see there is a lot of nice and pretty colours just to help give some shine and magic to the key, which you could also just paint if you wanted to. You don't have to use these powders, and I did this before I baked the key just to add a nice undertone there before I painted on top as well. So I think the colour I used was green moss, and then chocolate brown, or no, sorry, moss green it was that I used, and then I think the other one was a chocolate brown. And as you can see, I'm just going to pour a little bit out and then just rub it onto the key before I bake it. I would also like to apologise for the video, because I thought I had the camera in a different position, but obviously you can see I'm more leaning towards the left, and you can sort of see what I'm doing, but I'm not full screen there, so that does happen throughout the video, so I do apologise about that. So I'm just going to carry on painting, and I'm going to paint the little glass bottle and the key. I wasn't quite sure how I wanted the fairy potion bottle to look, but I just knew that I wanted it to have green and I wanted it to look like it had been hidden away somewhere in a magical forest. So I thought I would paint over the glass bottle with my paints, again from Arteza. These were just watercolours. I just wanted to layer the colours up with the powders so it had a sparkle. Although I do like the effect, I still wasn't 100%, so I thought I'd start distressing and sanding. Obviously careful not to take the paint off that I've just tried to layer up, because previously to this I did spray paint a layer of cream underneath to help keep the colours on the glass. After a little while I decided I didn't quite like the darkness of the greens. It wasn't really quite what I wanted, so I used a chalk paint, duck egg blue, a chalk paint, pink, and then also gold, and I just started layering up the colours till I got the effect that I thought looked nice. Obviously you can do something different with yours. I do have a soft spot for the duck egg blues and the chalk pinks and gold, because I quite like the Rococo French style. So it's sort of a Rococo French fairy potion bottle with a touch of magic. As the key had been in the oven and hardened, I then started painting the key with the gold spray paint and the duck egg blue, keeping in mind not to cover the opal, because obviously I wanted that to stay as it was and so that it would show. Now I have the two pieces ready. I use my glue gun, place some glue inside the bottle, and then carefully put the key in to the right place and held it so that when it dried it would stay nice and put, and then added a little bit more glue and finished it off and tidied it up a little bit. So using some French vintage script, I cut out a section that I thought would look nice to place inside the little metal label holder that will be getting super glued onto the front of the bottle. I wanted the fairy bottle to look like it had been lost and hidden in a magical forest. I started placing moss on the underneath, and then moss where I thought the moss would have climbed up naturally. So I'm just glue gunning these on here to where I think it looks nice. I also added some twigs, which I thought would help with the organic looking feature on the bottle, as it looks like it's been on the forest floor for years and years and years. A little tip is I use my heat gun there, which you can use for embossing. If you give it a quick blow over, you can get rid of all them scraggly glue gun bits which you don't want showing within your fairy bottle. using the paint to distress the bottle further, just so it doesn't look so new. I use the greens and the browns with the blacks just to make it look more natural, and smudging it in. Careful not to put too much on because you still want the bottle to look quite pretty and as if it belongs to a fairy queen. And then to finish off, I'm just adding some little bits of the green glitter on the moss and the twigs, just to add a little bit of sparkle. And I'll also be using the gold gilding paint to also put along the twigs and just to highlight the nice detailed areas. You'll also notice that I've wrapped some green leather around the bottle, which will I'll also be putting a little trinket on there and a pair of fairy wings just to finish the piece off. I'm really pleased with how it turned out. So here is the finished piece. I hope you like it and have enjoyed watching how I've made this fairy bottle, and that is the end of this studio vlog. Please do like and subscribe if you enjoyed this studio vlog. Thanks guys!